3 days ago, I cut an avocado in half, used one side, and put the other half back in my refrigerator using a method I learned from a California produce farmer who has been selling avocados for 40 years. This morning, I pulled it out. Still green, still creamy. Not a single brown spot anywhere on the flesh. Most people get 40 minutes before the browning starts. I got 72 hours. Here are 20 tricks that keep avocados fresh, green, and perfect far longer than you ever thought possible. Number 20. Understand the enemy before you fight it. Before any technique on this list makes sense, you need to understand exactly what causes avocado browning, because most people are trying to solve a problem they have fundamentally misidentified. Avocado flesh browns through a process called enzymatic oxidation. When the flesh is exposed to oxygen in the surrounding air, an enzyme naturally present in the avocado tissue called polyphenol. Oxidase reacts with phenolic compounds in the flesh, converting them into brown pigmented melanin molecules. This reaction requires three things simultaneously: the enzyme, the phenolic compounds, and oxygen. Remove any one of the three and the browning reaction stops. Understanding the mechanism makes every technique more effective, but the next trick is the first and fastest application of this knowledge, one that works in the 60 seconds immediately after cutting. Number 19, the lemon juice coat applied. Immediately. The moment an avocado is cut and the flesh is exposed to air, the clock starts. The single most effective immediate intervention is applying a thin, even coat of fresh lemon or lime juice across the entire exposed flesh surface within 60 seconds of cutting. Citric acid in lemon and lime juice works through two simultaneous mechanisms. First, it lowers the pH of the flesh surface into an acidic range where polyphenol oxidase enzyme activity is significantly inhibited, slowing the browning reaction at its enzymatic source. Second, ascorbic acid present in fresh citrus juice acts as an antioxidant, intercepting and reacting with oxygen before it can participate in the browning reaction with the flesh's own phenolic compounds. Lemon juice buys time by attacking the browning chemistry directly. The next trick creates a physical barrier that prevents the oxygen from reaching the flesh at all. Before we go further, if you have not subscribed yet, now is the moment. Now, let's move on. Number 18, pressing plastic wrap. Directly against the flesh air gaps are the enemy of cut avocado storage. When plastic wrap is laid loosely over the top of a cut avocado half, the air trapped between the wrap and the flesh surface is enough to initiate and sustain the browning reaction for hours before the refrigerator temperature slows it further. The solution is not more plastic wrap. It is plastic wrap pressed with firm, even pressure directly against every millimeter of the exposed flesh surface. Pull the plastic wrap down and smooth it against the avocado flesh with your fingertips, working from the center outward to push any trapped air toward the edges and eliminate every air pocket. The goal is direct contact between the wrap and the flesh across the entire surface, with no gaps, no bubbles, and no lifted edges where air can seep back in. This technique works best in combination with the lemon juice coating described above. The lemon juice treats the flesh surface chemically, while the pressed plastic wrap creates the physical oxygen barrier above it. Together, they address both the enzymatic and oxidative components of the browning reaction simultaneously. Pressed plastic wrap eliminates the air gap, and the next technique takes the oxygen barrier concept one step further, using something most people would never think to find in their kitchen for this purpose. Number 17, the olive oil surface seal. A thin coating of olive oil brushed across the exposed flesh of a cut avocado creates an oxygen barrier that is, in some respects, more effective than plastic wrap alone, because the oil fills the microscopic surface irregularities of the flesh where plastic wrap cannot make complete contact. Olive oil is hydrophobic and does not mix with water, meaning it sits as a stable, continuous layer on the avocado flesh surface rather than being absorbed into the water-rich tissue. This layer physically prevents oxygen molecules from dissolving into the flesh surface in the same way that the oil surface of a bowl of broth prevents the contents from oxidizing. The layer is thin enough that it does not noticeably affect flavor when the avocado is used in any application involving other ingredients. Olive oil fills the microscopic surface gaps that plastic wrap misses, but the next technique uses an ingredient that adds the oxygen barrier, the acid treatment, and a humidity maintaining layer, all in one application. Number 16. Coating with sour cream or Greek yogurt. Pressing a thin layer of sour cream or full-fat Greek yogurt directly against the cut face of an avocado. Half before storage sounds counterintuitive, but it works through three mechanisms simultaneously. The fat content creates an oxygen barrier. The lactic acid lowers the surface pH and inhibits polyphenol oxidase activity. And the moisture in the dairy product maintains a humid microenvironment at the flesh surface that further slows enzymatic activity. The yogurt or sour cream layer is applied thickly enough to cover the entire surface, pressed directly against the flesh rather than spooned loosely on top. And the avocado is stored face down in a sealed container, so gravity keeps the coating in contact with the flesh throughout storage. When ready to use, the coating wipes off cleanly with a spoon or a paper towel, leaving the flesh below green and fresh. This technique works particularly well for avocado halves that are intended to be used the following day in applications where the flesh will be mashed or sliced rather than served whole. Dairy coating combines acid, fat, and humidity in one layer, and the next technique moves to the pit, specifically using it as a tool that most people abandon in the trash without realizing what it is actually doing when it stays in contact with the flesh. Number 15. Keeping the pit in the unused half. The conventional wisdom about the avocado pit, keeping the flesh green beneath it, is partially true for a reason most people do not fully understand. The pit does not emit any browning prevention compounds. What it does is occupy physical space in the pit cavity, preventing air from pooling in that specific area where exposed flesh curves down and away from the outer surface. The flesh directly beneath a pit that remains in the cavity stays green longer than the flesh around it, not because the pit protects it chemically, but because it maintains direct contact with the flesh surface below it, eliminating the air pocket that would otherwise sit in the cavity. The flesh that browns first on an avocado, half with the pit removed, is almost always at the edge of the pit cavity, which has the most air exposure. Leave the pit in the half you are storing, press your lemon juice or oil coating around and over the pit edges where the cavity meets the flat surface, and seal with pressed plastic wrap for the most complete coverage of this vulnerable area. The pit eliminates the air pocket in the cavity, but the next technique creates an entirely oxygen-free storage environment that makes every surface treatment above it even more effective. Number 14. Storing in an airtight container with a paper towel. An airtight container does two things simultaneously that neither plastic wrap nor an open shelf can accomplish alone. It eliminates the continuous supply of fresh oxygen that would otherwise replace the oxygen consumed by the browning reaction, and it maintains a stable humidity level around the avocado that slows surface desiccation. Add a small dry paper towel to the bottom of the container before placing the avocado half inside, face down. The paper towel absorbs any condensation that forms inside the sealed container, preventing the moisture from pooling against the flesh surface and creating a locally humid environment that could accelerate surface mold. The face-down position presses the treated flesh against the relatively clean, dry container interior surface, creating one more physical barrier against air exposure. A glass container with a silicone-sealed lid outperforms a plastic snap lid container for this application because glass maintains its seal more consistently over multiple open and closed cycles and does not absorb avocado oils or odors into the container material itself. The airtight container creates the controlled environment, and the next technique uses a water-based storage method that produces results most people find genuinely surprising the first time they try it. Number 13. The water submersion method for whole avocados. An uncut avocado that has reached desired ripeness but cannot be used immediately can be held at its current ripeness stage for several additional days by submerging it completely in cold water in a sealed container in the refrigerator. The cold water simultaneously lowers the temperature of the avocado to near refrigerator levels more effectively than air refrigeration alone, because water conducts heat away from the fruit surface more efficiently than cold air. It also eliminates all air contact with the skin surface, preventing the oxygen-driven surface deterioration that begins on ripe avocado skin even before the fruit is cut. Change the water daily to prevent bacterial buildup. Keep the container sealed to maintain refrigerator-level temperature consistency. And check the avocado daily for any skin changes. Avocados stored this way maintain their ripeness stage for 3 to 5 additional days, compared to the same fruit stored unwrapped on a refrigerator shelf. Water submersion works for whole avocados by eliminating air contact entirely, but the next technique applies a similar logic, specifically to cut avocado in a form that most people prepare daily without realizing how quickly it deteriorates. Number 12. Keeping guacamole fresh with a water layer. If you have learned something genuinely useful in this video already, please hit the like button right now. It genuinely helps this video reach more people who need to see it. Prepared guacamole browns faster than any other avocado preparation because the mashing process dramatically increases the surface area of flesh exposed to oxygen, multiplying the browning reaction sites many times over compared to a whole cut half. The most effective technique for storing prepared guacamole is pressing it into a flat, even layer in a container and pouring a thin layer of cold water directly over the surface before sealing. The water layer creates a complete oxygen barrier over the entire top surface of the guacamole, preventing any air from reaching the flesh below it. When ready to serve, pour off the water and stir the surface moisture into the guacamole, which adjusts the consistency negligibly. This water layer technique extends the refrigerator life of prepared guacamole from 1 day to 3 to 4 days without any quality loss in the guacamole itself, because the water layer prevents the oxidation reaction, while the sealed container prevents fresh oxygen from replacing what the water displaces. The water layer preserves guacamole by blocking air entirely, and the next technique uses a specific kitchen staple to create a chemical environment hostile to the browning enzyme that works even better than lemon juice alone. Number 11. The red onion storage trick. Storing a cut avocado half in a container with a quarter of a raw red onion placed nearby, not touching the avocado but sharing the sealed airspace of the same container, produces measurably better browning prevention than storage in a clean, empty container under identical conditions. Raw onion emits sulfur compounds into the surrounding air as it sits, and these sulfur compounds inhibit polyphenol oxidase enzyme activity in nearby produce, creating a low-concentration enzyme suppressing atmosphere inside the sealed container that works alongside any surface treatment already applied to the avocado flesh. This is the same principle behind the folk wisdom about onions, preventing browning in other cut fruits and vegetables. And it is the reason Earl, the produce farmer, whose techniques informed the banana video in this series, stores multiple different types of cut produce in the same cooler as his cut onions, rather than separating them. The sulfur is not a contaminant. In small quantities in a shared sealed space, it is a natural enzyme inhibitor that produces no detectable flavor transfer to the avocado when the storage time is under 48 hours. The red onion creates an enzyme-suppressing atmosphere inside the storage container. The next technique changes where in the refrigerator the avocado is stored because location inside a refrigerator matters more than most people realize. Number 10. Storing in the coldest part of the refrigerator. The browning reaction, like virtually all enzyme-driven chemical reactions, is temperature dependent. Every 10 degrees Fahrenheit of temperature reduction cuts the rate of the polyphenol oxidase reaction roughly in half, meaning that the difference between storing a cut avocado on a warm door shelf versus in the coldest part of the main compartment can translate to several additional hours or even a full additional day of browning prevention. The coldest part of most refrigerators is the back lower shelf, away from the door and close to the evaporator coil air distribution. Store cut avocado in this location rather than in a door shelf or an upper shelf near the refrigerator light, which generates its own low-level heat source. Do not store in the crisper drawer, which maintains higher humidity than the main compartment and can accelerate surface mold on exposed avocado flesh. Cold temperature slows the browning chemistry throughout the entire storage period. The next technique addresses the browning problem from an entirely different direction by working on the avocado before it is even cut. Before we go further, Please click the like button if you've been gaining maximum value from the knowledge we're sharing. This channel exists to surface exactly this kind of knowledge, things that were never obvious, just never explained. Number 9. Slowing ripening on the countertop with strategic placement. A hard, unripe avocado placed in a warm spot on the countertop ripens faster than one placed in a cooler corner of the kitchen because the ripening process, driven by ethylene gas production, runs faster at higher temperatures, exactly like the browning reaction does. Controlling where an unripe avocado sits on the countertop controls how quickly it reaches the point where it needs to be used. Store unripe avocados in the coolest, shadiest part of the kitchen counter, away from windows, appliances that generate heat, and direct sunlight. This slows ethylene production and extends the window of time between purchase and the moment the avocado is ripe enough to need eating or refrigerating. When an avocado has reached the desired ripeness stage and cannot be used immediately, move it immediately to the refrigerator, which drops the temperature below the threshold, where ripening can continue at any meaningful rate. This transfer, done at exactly the right moment, can extend a perfectly ripe avocado's useful life by 4 to 6 days in the refrigerator, compared to leaving it on the counter, where it will continue ripening toward overripe within a day or two. Countertop placement controls how fast ripening progresses before refrigeration becomes necessary. And the next technique deliberately uses another fruit to influence the avocado's ripening rate in either direction, depending on what you need. Number 8. Using ethylene to control ripening speed, deliberately. The same ethylene gas management principle described in the banana video applies directly to avocados. Placing an unripe avocado in a paper bag with an apple or a banana creates a concentrated ethylene environment inside the bag that accelerates ripening from rock hard to perfectly ripe in 1 to 2 days, rather than 4 to 6. Conversely, keeping avocados away from apples, pears, bananas, and tomatoes in both the countertop fruit bowl and in the refrigerator prevents unintentional ethylene acceleration from pushing ripe avocados into overripeness faster than natural. Earl keeps a completely separate basket for avocados in his storage area, away from every significant ethylene producer in the room, and this separation alone extends his fruit's usable window by several days. Ethylene management works in both directions depending on what the ripeness situation requires, and the next technique freezes the avocado at its best moment for use weeks or months later. Number 7. The correct method for freezing. Avocado. Freezing avocado is only effective when done at the correct ripeness stage and in the correct form, because whole frozen avocados and improperly prepared frozen avocado flesh both produce unsatisfactory results that most people experience as evidence that avocados simply cannot be frozen. They can with the right preparation. Peel and pit a perfectly ripe avocado, mash the flesh with 1 tablespoon of fresh lemon juice per avocado, and store in a sealed container or freezer bag, with all air pressed out before sealing. The mashed form freezes and thaws more evenly than sliced, or whole halves. The lemon juice inhibits the browning reaction during the freeze-thaw cycle, when cellular disruption creates conditions that accelerate oxidation, and the air removal prevents the freezer burn that makes improperly frozen avocado gray and unpleasant in texture. Correct freezing captures perfect ripeness for months. But the next technique extends fresh storage using a natural wax coating that mirrors what the skin itself was doing before the avocado was cut. Number 6. The beeswax coating for whole avocados. The avocado's own skin provides a natural oxygen and moisture barrier while the fruit is intact, but once cut, the protective barrier is gone, and the exposed flesh has no equivalent protection of its own. Applying a thin coating of raw beeswax to the cut surface of an avocado half recreates, in a rough but effective way, the kind of barrier the skin was providing before the fruit was opened. Melt a small amount of raw beeswax in a tin over low heat. Apply a thin, even coat to the entire cut surface using a cloth or pastry brush and allow it to set for 30 seconds before storing the coated half in a sealed container. The beeswax fills the microscopic surface pores in the flesh through which oxygen would otherwise dissolve, creating a semi-permeable coating that slows oxygen penetration more effectively than oil alone. The coating is removed with the first thin layer of flesh when preparing the avocado for use, or it can be rinsed away under cool water without affecting the flesh below it. This technique is the one the California farmer introduced me to, and it produced the 72-hour result described in the introduction. Beeswax recreates the skin's own barrier function on the cut surface, but the next technique addresses a preparation mistake that undermines every other storage technique on this list. Number 5, never cutting more than you need. Every technique on this list works harder when the area of exposed flesh is smaller, because a smaller exposed surface means fewer reaction sites for oxidation, less surface area requiring oxygen barrier coverage, and less total enzymatic activity to suppress. The single simplest way to extend any cut avocado's life is to cut only what is needed and leave the rest intact. If a recipe requires half an avocado, cut and remove exactly half, leaving the other half completely uncut within its skin rather than peeling the entire fruit and then storing the unused portion. Avocado flesh that has never been exposed to air does not need any treatment and will not brown because the browning reaction cannot proceed without both the oxygen contact and the cellular disruption that cutting provides. When only a portion of a half is needed, scoop from the center of the flesh toward the skin edge rather than slicing the portion away, leaving the skin intact on the remaining piece as a natural barrier for as much of the remaining surface as possible. Minimizing the cut surface reduces the total browning challenge before any treatment is applied. The next technique turns a browning avocado that seems past saving into something perfectly usable with almost no effort. Number 4, scraping and refreshing. A brown surface. A cut avocado half with a brown surface layer is not a spoiled avocado. The browning reaction affects only the outermost layer of flesh, typically 1 to 2 millimeters deep, while the flesh below it remains green, fresh, and chemically unchanged from the moment it was first cut. Use a spoon to scrape away the brown surface layer in one smooth motion, revealing the green flesh immediately beneath it. If the exposed layer begins browning again within minutes of scraping, apply a lemon juice coat and return to a sealed container immediately. The avocado is still fresh and usable beneath whatever has browned on the surface. Most people see a brown avocado surface and discard the entire half, which represents a significant food and money waste when the majority of the flesh is still in perfect condition. Earl's approach is to never discard an avocado with a brown surface until the flesh below the brown layer is also brown, which, with proper storage techniques in place, essentially never happens within the first 3 days of storage. Scraping reveals fresh flesh beneath the surface browning, and the next technique ensures that all the techniques above it are applied in the right sequence to maximize their combined effect. Number 3, building the complete system in the correct order. No single technique on this list produces the full 36 to 72-hour browning prevention window that combining them achieves. The sequence in which the techniques are applied matters as much as the techniques themselves, because each step creates conditions that make the next step more effective. The correct sequence for a cut avocado half is: apply lemon juice immediately to the entire exposed surface, including pit cavity edges. Coat with a thin layer of olive oil using a brush for complete coverage. Leave the pit in the stored half. Press plastic wrap directly against the entire flesh surface with no air gaps. Place face down in a glass airtight container with a dry paper towel in the base. Add a piece of red onion to the container without touching the avocado, and store in the coldest part of the refrigerator. Each step in this sequence targets a different component of the browning reaction. Together, they block oxygen physically, suppress the enzyme chemically, maintain an unfavorable pH at the surface, eliminate the air gap, create an enzyme-suppressing atmosphere, and slow the remaining reaction rate with cold temperature. The result is a cut avocado that stays green far longer than any single technique could produce alone. The complete system combines every individual technique into a unified solution, and the next technique uses a preventive approach that starts before the avocado is ever purchased. Number 2, buying at the right ripeness stage for your timeline. Every storage technique on this list works most effectively when applied to an avocado that was cut at exactly the right ripeness stage, because a slightly underripe avocado has a lower concentration of the phenolic compounds that fuel the browning reaction and a slightly firmer cell structure, that resists enzymatic breakdown more effectively than fully ripe flesh. If you plan to store one half and use the other 3 days later, select an avocado that is 1 day away from perfect ripeness rather than already at peak. It will reach peak ripeness during the storage period, and the slightly earlier cut will have extended the window during which the storage techniques can maintain quality. An avocado cut at its absolute peak ripeness has the highest phenolic concentration and the softest cell structure, making it the most vulnerable to rapid browning and the hardest to preserve successfully. Buying at the right ripeness stage builds buffer into every subsequent technique, and the final trick is the organizing principle that makes every other technique on this list actually work in a real kitchen, not just in theory. Number 1. Treating storage as a system, not a single trick. The reason most people's avocado storage attempts fail is not that the individual techniques are ineffective. It is that they apply one trick at a time, find that it does not fully solve the problem alone, and conclude that the problem is unsolvable. The lemon juice alone buys an hour. The plastic wrap alone buys a few hours. The airtight container alone extends things marginally. None of these applied individually produces the result that all of them applied together achieves. The farmer in California who demonstrated this system to me was not doing something exotic or requiring special ingredients or equipment. He was applying a set of simple, individually modest techniques in combination and in the correct sequence, each one closing a gap that the others left open. And the combined result was a cut avocado half that was genuinely indistinguishable from freshly cut flesh after 3 days in his cooler. Every technique on this list targets one specific mechanism in the browning process. Together, they cover every mechanism simultaneously, and a reaction that has no pathway available to proceed simply does not proceed. That is not a trick. That is applied understanding of how a biological process works, and it produces results that look like magic until you understand the science, at which point they look exactly like what they are: straightforward solutions to a problem that only seemed inevitable because nobody explained the mechanism clearly enough. Tell me in the comments below which of these 20 techniques you are trying with your next avocado and which one surprised you most. The next video is already on your screen on the left. Click it now and I will meet you there.